Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 313. I'm excited to be here today. This is a topic that I'm passionate about. It'll come as no surprise since the name of this podcast is Ordinary to Badass. But today, this episode is You're a Badass, and I'll prove it to you. Because so often, we don't see our own badassery. So let's get into it, let's talk about it, and I hope you already believe that you're a badass, but if not, you're going to want to listen to this. And then, if you know somebody else that's a badass, that is too humble, too shy, doesn't want to brag, but they're a total badass and they just don't see it for themselves yet, make sure, send this episode to them. You can hit the 3 little dots at the top and send it to them. Let them know. I see you. You're a badass. That always feels good, right? When your friends and family recognize you for the badass that you are. I like it. And you know what? Even if you're not super close with somebody and you know, like, oh yeah, they're a badass. I like what they're up to. I like the perseverance and the tenacity they have. Send it to them. Let them know. Because when other people acknowledge, that's helpful, right? Because sometimes when we can't see it for ourselves, when somebody else can notice it, it makes us feel good. It makes us like remember like, oh yeah, I am a badass. Or it's like you start to hear it from different people, and while our validation shouldn't come from everybody else, it's like, it's sometimes you have to hear it from several different places and you're like, oh yeah, that is true. And so you start to borrow other people's belief in yourself. So that's cool. Do that, share the episode, and let's get into it. So I have to tell you, I'm just going to start off just going all in. And here's the thing. I was talking to somebody recently, and you know what she told me? She told me that she had never experienced failure. Now, inside I was like, what? Like my jaw dropped. Like I didn't give that verbal expression, but I was just thinking, that's knuckin' futz. How can you possibly never have experienced failure? That's crazy to me. But I didn't say that to her, and I didn't process the whole thing because we were talking about something else. And, you know, she's done good things in her life, but she's just never experienced failure. Or, you know what, maybe she just didn't interpret it as failure. She could have made mistakes or didn't get certain positions or certain things, and she just has a positive mindset, so maybe she just didn't interpret it as failure. I don't know. We didn't get into the weeds on that. But in general, here's what I would say. If you are not failing, then you're not going hard enough. You're not pushing your comfort zone far enough. You gotta push your comfort zone. You gotta try to do things that you know will be hard for you, or that you might not get, that there is a risk of failure. Go outside. Now, I'm not saying life is all about failure, but it's oftentimes that those times where we fail, those are the times when we start to realize like, oh, I'm a badass. Or it's once you come back from it, right? You fail, you make a mistake, you come back from it, and then it helps you to realize like, I'm resilient. I can do hard things. I can get through these hard moments. So if you haven't failed in a while, then maybe it's time to push your comfort zones, to try for bigger, harder things, to do things that make you feel uncomfortable. So that's my challenge to you. And you know what? Even as I'm saying it, I realize, okay, there are things that I can be pushing my comfort zone on. There are things I can be failing about. And it came to me like, you know what? Sometimes, well, a lot of times, I play it safe on this podcast. As most of you probably know, I'm an introvert. And I really, you know, I don't talk a ton. If I have something to say, I'll say it. And when I'm around my close friends, yeah, I'll talk, you know. But like, I don't talk just to talk. Usually it's like, I'm pretty short, to the point. Let's get in, get out. Let's do it. And so sometimes the podcast, especially when I first started, it was hard for me because especially these solo episodes, right? Because talking, I'm not going to say it's not my strong suit. I just get to the point and that's it. So sometimes I'll say the same thing over and over on the podcast, and I haven't even challenged myself on that. But you know what? It's probably because a fear of failure or fear of sounding stupid, maybe. I don't know. Because like I'll say the same script over and over, and like about, oh, go to Apple and like me and leave a comment. Well, not like me, but like the podcast and leave a comment. Or, you know, when there's a guest on the show and we do the why they're so badass afterwards, then I'll say the same. I used to say the same thing at the end every single time about reaching out to them, letting them know the impact that they had on you. While that's important, I can switch it up a little bit. And so that was me. I'm going to try to break out of that a bit. And that was me staying in my comfort zone and saying the things I was comfortable with. Although probably got a little redundant, right? Could be a little bit boring. You're like, okay, heard this 1,000 times. Kind of like your parents growing up, you know, and they're like, clean your room or brush your teeth. And then you're like, ugh, only because your parents are telling you to do it, right? And it's the same thing every time. So it gets old. So yes, if you're not failing, if you're not switching things up a little bit, and you're staying in your comfort zone, okay, that's a sign it's time. It's time to pivot. And I don't know what this little dance move was. We'll go with it. For those of you watching the video, you can see, but it's time to pivot. It's time to do something new. It's time to grow, to expand. It's so important to do those things. So to you, to me, let's grow, let's expand, let's start pushing. That helps us to remind us that we're a badass, right? And that we can do it. Okay, so kind of going with that, it's similar on the same thing, or on the same lines. The first reason why you're a badass is because you've gotten knocked down. Now, we don't like to get knocked down. It doesn't feel good. But by the fact that you're standing up, right? You know that you can do hard things. You know, if you get back up after you've fallen down or been pushed down or something took you down, right? You get back up, you're a stinking badass. You're doing the hard things. So remember that. Remember that by the fact that you're standing, you're in the arena, you're doing the work. You are a badass. If you're constantly trying to push your comfort zone, or not even constantly, but just here and there, you're like, okay, I'm going to push my comfort zone a little bit. I'm going to try something that I'm a little bit scared to do. This makes my heart race. It makes me nervous. Okay, but I'm going to do it anyway. That makes you a badass. It's not always easy to do hard things. Actually, usually it's not easy, but it gets a little bit better each and every time that you do it. So just try to test your boundaries, test your limits. Be around people that help you to test your boundaries or push your limits, right? If your friends are pushing their limits, it's a little bit more encouraging to you to like, oh yeah, they're doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for it. It can be inspiring to see what other people are doing and then inspire you to do something badass too. So what I wanted to talk about now, let's go way back to 1996 to the Olympics with Kerri Strug. Now, she had an amazing knockdown story. She had an amazing comeback story, right? So I'm going to tell you the story. You may or may not remember it, but it was amazing. I believe she was doing the horse, and I can't remember if it was the horse or the vault, but maybe it was the vault. I don't know. Should have Googled it. So she was doing it, and she went and her team was up for the Olympics, up for the gold medal in the Olympics. And so she started running and went to do her move. She was the very last one to go. And she landed and jacked up her ankle. And so she landed a little bit weird. And if you're not aware, you get 2 tries when you're doing that. And so she got another try. But would she be able to do it? She was sitting there hopping on her one foot because it was hard to put pressure on the other foot. And so would this lose the gold medal for the for Team USA? It could have. And would she have been at fault? No. Right? I mean, she hurt herself. What can you do? You hurt yourself. And so I want you to put yourself in that moment for a second. Pretend Carrie had just walked off or got carried off or went off in a stretcher, whatever the thing, right? Or in a wheelchair. Would you have been mad at her? No. I don't think that anybody could have possibly been mad at her if she would have just said, I can't do it. I cannot do this. This hurts. But I want you to think for a minute. How would you treat yourself? If you had to leave and walk off, how would you treat yourself? A lot of us would be pretty stinking hard on ourselves. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did that. I made that mistake. I didn't stick the landing good enough. I hurt my ankle. I can't do this. And just poor pitiful me. It's not your fault. People get hurt all the time. She did the best she could do, right? But I just wanted to take that for a second and think about that. And sometimes we need to think about ourselves as like our best friend or your child and be like, what do you need right now? How can I help you? I'm so sorry you got hurt. That sucks. What can I do for you? And talk to ourselves that way, as opposed to talking down to ourselves and being negative to ourselves and forgetting that we're badasses, right? So that's just like a little side note, a little segue about if Carrie didn't go on and how we talk to ourselves, how we would be, because nobody would blame you if you didn't go on. But that's not what happened to Carrie. Carrie, she went on. She pushed through. She persevered. And she's like, I'm going to try this again, because you get 2 chances. And so the first one, she jacked up her ankle and she decided to do it again anyway. And there had to be fear and like pain shooting through her ankle up through her leg. And she did it anyway. So she went, she did the vault. I'm just going to call it the vault because I can't remember if it's the horse or the vault. And you know what? She did it perfectly and nailed her landing. Team USA, gold stinking medal, right? She persevered. She pushed through it even after she got knocked down. I don't think she physically fell, but you know, it was hard. She was hopping on her one foot, and yet she persevered and got through it anyway. Your example doesn't have to be that extreme. It's like when you go through something and you fail, but yet you try again anyway. That is stinking badass. When you go through a hard time in life, right? Maybe you have a loved one die and it sucks. It rocks your world and it takes you down for a minute, which is fine, right? I mean, that's normal, is to have these heavy emotions. But then you're still here today. Here you are standing here. You're a badass. Don't forget that. Remember the things that you have overcome and that you're still here today. And that totally reminds me, and I've talked about this several times, maybe this is my comfort zone, is the wall of badassery that Rebecca Kordecki talked about. And there's been different versions of it that people throughout the podcast have talked about. And it's about creating a poster or something, writing down all of the badass things that you have done or overcome in your life. Because we need those reminders. If we don't have those reminders, often we don't remember. Or we tend to forget, or the times when we need them, like when we're down in the dumps, we need to go to that poster and review it and be like, oh, yeah, I am a badass. I can do hard things. I did A, B, C, and D. Those were badass, so I know I can tap into that. I know that I can do it again. But have that reminder on your wall. Have a wall of badassery. If you don't want to go to that extreme, you can have it like on your computer. Have a document full of the badass things you've done. Or full of compliments that people have given you or sent you, right? We need those reminders for when we're feeling down and out. For when we're feeling like we aren't a badass. Or that we can't keep going forward. We can't keep doing it. You can. But set yourself up for success. Have reminders around you that you are a badass. It's so important. It's something that's not talked about to us, right? Especially not when we're younger. And I get somebody might not say badass to a little kid, but it's like you can help your kids remember what a badass they are or the cool things that they've done. It's not about being cocky. It's about being confident and about remembering when we're down in the dumps. So create a wall of badassery, right? And I'm proud of you because you're still standing. The second reason that you're a badass is for listening to this podcast. Now, I'm not saying that to like pump my ego up, right? But really, you are a badass for listening to this show. Because you know what? Somebody who is willing to grow and learn and expand, they are a badass. You are listening to other badass women, usually women, not always, that have come on this show, and to the people that have gone before you, who have done hard things and overcame hardships. You're listening to them and taking little tidbits and seeing, okay, that works for me. That resonates with me. Let me take that. Let me put that in my little toolbox, right? So when people give tips and tricks, things that have worked for them and how they've overcome hardship, then you take that, put it in your toolbox and apply it to your life. That's not easy. And it's like, you know what? Everybody's not doing this stuff. Everybody's not trying new things. Everybody's not trying hard things, right? Or they're not all willing to grow and expand. But you are, because you're listening to the show. And I stinking love that. And then, here's the thing. It's like, I love, like, when badasses lift each other up, when they support each other, when they're in it together. And that's what this podcast is about. I know that's how you are, because you're listening to this, right? So I'm sure that you're lifting up the other people in your life. You're lifting up the other badasses that surround you. And I love you for that. I love that you're doing that. But here's the thing too. Like, if you are, which I believe you are, if you're pushing your comfort zone, if you're doing hard things, growing, expanding, you know what? The people around you are probably doing the same. So by having the courage to be a badass, by having the courage to listen to this and to share this with your friends, to do the things that you hear from the guests on the show, to have that courage inspires courage in the person next to you. I'm going to say that again. So having the courage to do hard things, to be a badass, to expand, to grow, gives the person next to you the courage to do the same. Sometimes people aren't even going to tell you about it, right? They might not even tell you like, hey, you inspired me to do this. And that's okay. They might not tell you. But if it inspires them to take action and to do something too, that's pretty exciting. But I think we're so used to this world of just being okay. Just getting through the day, right? Not doing anything exceptional. That for sure used to be me. Not saying I'm like super motivated or like crazy right now, but like I'm just saying, like, my prior world would have been sitting there watching TV, sitting on the butt watching TV. If I wasn't at work, then I was sitting on my butt on the couch watching TV, lazy. But it's like, that's safe. You're probably not going to get hurt if you're sitting on your butt watching TV, right? Not hurt, you can see anyway. I mean, it probably hurts your physical health, but that's safe, right? And you could say like, oh, I'm so busy, I have this, I have that, and make all the excuses in the world. But it's hard to push your comfort zone. It's hard to do these other things. And so I know you're not doing the safe route because you're listening to this podcast, which means you're not sitting your butt at home watching TV right now. Not picking on you TV watchers. I still watch some TV, but not like I used to. Like, that's just how all of my free time would be. And so I know that you're getting after it. You're doing hard things. You're listening to the experts on the show. You're taking what they say and applying it and using it in your life. So that's huge. Recognize yourself for that. Recognize that you're doing good things. You're doing hard things. You're growing. And sometimes it's like, okay, look at where you are now and where you were 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Is there any growth? Is there any change? Are you doing the same exact thing? And now I'm not just talking about like for work, right? It's fine. If you love your job and you're passionate with what you do, nobody's saying you have to just get up and switch, but are you growing in between? Are you learning things? Because it is so important to grow and learn and expand. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here because that is you. You are a badass that is doing all of those things. So recognize that. Really look in the mirror, right? And recognize your badassery. And recognize the things that you've done to grow and expand. If you look different than you used to, not necessarily physically, right? But if your life looks different, if how you behave looks, if you've grown and expanded, you're a badass. Recognize that. And maybe write those things down, right? How much you've changed. What is it that's changed? A lot of people think personality is something that's permanent. Like, I'm an introvert, I must be an introvert my whole life. Now, while for me, I'm an introvert, and I have always been, I've learned to grow and expand and push my comfort zone. And so I talk to way more people now than I ever used to. I would feel so uncomfortable with it even 5 to 7 years ago. But I've changed and grown and learned from other badasses. And so now I say hi to a lot of people. When I'm walking, I try to walk 1 or 2 times a day. And I say hi to people I don't know, to mere strangers. That never would have happened before. So like the Marie that's sitting here today is wildly different than the Marie 5 years ago, 10 years ago even. So look at that. See if there's anything different. If you're growing, if you're expanding. It's proof that you're a badass. And if you're not where you want to be, cool. Write it down. Write down where you want to be. And look at that. And, you know, I heard lately more stuff like about setting intentions. And actually, yoga has taught me to set intentions and how powerful setting an intention can be as opposed to setting a goal. It's like, it's going to be my intention today to be open, to listen, to learn from other badasses. Cool. Set an intention. If you'd like to be more like that, set an intention. Or more like whatever. If there's something you want to move toward or towards, set an intention for it. Just an idea. But I know that you're a badass, again, because you're listening to this, you're hearing the hard conversations, probably having hard conversations as a result of some of the stuff you've heard on this podcast. And so for that, you are a badass, and don't you forget it. And if you do, just listen to another episode. That was the plug. Okay, no more. Let's get to number 3. Okay, number 3, the third reason why you're a badass is for your acknowledgement. Now, you're a badass as soon as you acknowledge it. Yep, gonna say that again. You are a badass as soon as you acknowledge it. You're the one holding yourself back. So often we think we are not a badass. We can't label ourselves a badass. And so you might let other people call you it, or look at other people around you like, oh no, she's a badass. Not me, she's a badass. But you forget, you are a badass. And you're really taking so much away from yourself when you say that you're not a badass. Think of when people come on the show, right? They come on the show. Some of them have said that they are ordinary. Or some ordinary and badass. And I get that because I think every human being on this planet has ordinary. But not every single human being on this planet believes that they're a badass. Which is a shame, right? It is. Because you are a badass. And I want you to recognize it. I want you to embrace it. I want you to believe it with all of your heart. And you might not believe it. And I used to not believe it. Heck, I've talked about several times. Like when I became a police officer, everybody thought that I was such a badass. And they would look at me or make comments about me being a badass. And I just felt like a fraud. And felt like that wasn't true. Okay. You can hear my dog Kono sneezing in the background. Sorry about that. But no, I felt like a fraud. I felt like I was not a badass. There was nothing in me that was badass. That's what I would have told you at the time. Doesn't make it true, right? But I just didn't have the belief in myself. And so if you're not recognizing that you're a badass, that's taking something away, right? Taking something away from yourself. all it takes is acknowledgement. Really, that's where it starts, is acknowledging your badassery. And I'll tell you, when I started this podcast, when I started this business, like, I thought the name Ordinary to Badass was super cool. I was like, yes. But I still had that imposter syndrome, which so many of us have. If you don't know what imposter syndrome, it's feeling like a fake, it's feeling like a fraud, like we are not good enough to be called a badass, or whatever the thing is. Maybe it's at work. You feel like you're not good enough to be in the position you're in or to move up and promote, right? And so it's definitely that feeling of fraud or imposter syndrome. And that holds so many of us back, especially women, because women, we're not taught to brag about ourselves. We're certainly not taught to call ourselves badasses, or you don't want to be super confident. That's kind of the impression you get when you're a kid. And so we play it small because we take care of everybody else instead of taking care of ourselves. So embrace your badassery and really hone it, right? So whereas 5-7 years ago, you would have never heard me call myself a badass. Wouldn't have even been a thought. And when I first started, it was uncomfortable. Now, oh, I'm a badass. I'm going to own it. But circling back around, when people come on the podcast, it's like, I do not invite anybody to come on the show that isn't a badass. Plain and simple. So by the fact that you're being invited to be on a guest on the show, you've heard the guests. They're amazing, right? They are badasses. They are pushing their boundaries, doing the uncomfortable. They've went through hardships, right? So they're badasses. But sometimes it blows me away when people don't see their own badassery. Now, I don't think I've ever had anybody that just said, I'm only ordinary. But it's still, like, sometimes just takes me off balance a little bit because I'm like, you're such a badass. But that's how it is sometimes, right? Is we see it in other people, we can call it out in other people, but we can't seem to call it out in ourselves. So start calling it out in yourself, reminding yourself that you're a badass, or go get in front of the mirror, right? And put your hands on your hips and kind of put your feet a little bit further apart and stand like a warrior and be like, you're a badass, and remind yourself of the badass that you are. It might not feel easy, it might not feel comfortable, but you'd be surprised the confidence that gives you. It's a little confidence boost. And then how over time, you just come to recognize yourself as that. You're like, oh yeah, of course. Yes, I'm a badass, right? And then it's not embarrassing. It's not so bad. And it gives you the confidence to move forward and to push past other things where you felt like an imposter syndrome. So start calling yourself a badass more. Recognize the badassery in other people. Here's the thing too. When you're calling yourself a badass and you're announcing it and you're owning it, you don't have to say it like every day. Oh, I'm a badass. Hey, badass enter in the room. But when you're doing that, when you're recognizing your inner badassery, your confidence is going to show. But then also, you're going to motivate other people when you're doing hard things. When you're getting back up after you fail or make a mistake, you're going to motivate those people around you. And so then you're going to see the people around you start doing badass things and start pushing their comfort zone and doing other things that they didn't think they could do. Maybe they start calling themselves a badass where they wouldn't have before. So like, embrace it. Celebrate the people around you. Help them know that they are a badass. It's so important. Okay. Quick recap. 3 reasons why you're a badass, and I'll prove it, is 1, for getting knocked down. 2 is for listening to this podcast. And 3rd is for your acknowledgement. So I hope I convinced you that you're a badass. I think I proved it. Now, I want to hear from you. I would love like a screenshot of this episode and put it on Instagram and tag me at Ordinary to Badass. Say, I am a badass. Like, that would be so awesome if people announce their badassery, right? And I'll throw it on Instagram and put it in my stories too. But it makes me so excited when people are just like, I'm a badass. I'm owning it. And that could be the first time you say it. And so then you'll get in the habit of saying it more and more, even if it feels like a little bit like embarrassing or, oh my gosh, can I say that? Can I do that? Heck yes. You are a total badass. Don't you dare forget it. And if you do forget it, listen to this episode. Now, Thursday's episode is how you can tap into feeling more badass. And it's going to give you different steps that you can take. to tap into feeling more badass, but I know you're a badass. You are already on your way. Sometimes we just need little tips or little boosters, right? To get us back on track when we go off a little bit. So with that, we'll end our show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future Spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.